Our next step is going to be to pose the question, or in our case, it's more like a statement. Pick the number that's less than the random number that we generate. And in order to do that, we're going to have to add text. So go back to Scene View, and in the hierarchy, we're going to add a UI, and it's going to be text. When you select that, what that does is it adds a canvas, then it adds text and the event system. We're not going to worry about the event system for now, so we're just going to focus on the text. But first, let's take a look at the canvas. Let's go ahead and zoom out so we can see the canvas. As you can see, the canvas is rather large. It's in screen space overlay, so the canvas is actually representing the screen that you'll see when you go into the game view. You can see down here, it says new text. And that was the text we added. Let's go ahead and change the text. So with text selected, change the text, and we're going to say question. So we know that it's the question. I'm going to want this centered, both vertically and horizontally, and the color is fine for now. And let's make the font a little bit bigger so we can see. Let's make it 48 for now. When we make the font 48, we can no longer see it because it goes beyond our boundaries within our rect transform. And we can fix this in two ways. One, by expanding our box, or by setting both the horizontal and vertical to overflow. Or we could simply expand the box within the rect transform, the width and the height. But for now, we'll just use the overflows. Going into our game view, the question isn't exactly where we want it to be. We like the question at the top, so it's out of the gameplay, but still visible to the user. And we're going to do that with anchor points. Go ahead and select this box within your text in the inspector. This is where you set your pivot and you set the position of the game object. In this case, our game object is our text. So go into the scene view, and you can see that the anchor is currently at the center. Holding Shift and then selecting the top, we can set the pivot to the very top of the screen. Holding Alt, we can also set the position of our box to the top of the screen. So back in game view, question is now at the top, although there isn't much of a buffer at the top of the screen. So what we want to do is extend the position, not in the X, but in the Y. So for the rect transform, it's set to 0, 0 on the pivot point. So this pivot point now represents 0, 0. So we're going to move it down, so we're going to do negative in the Y. So let's try negative 10. Go back into the game view, and that's not too much of a difference, but it does have a little bit of a buffer at the top. Let's make it a little bit more and say negative 40. There we go. That's more of a buffer. Let's rename our text, and we'll just name it question, so we know that this text is going to be associated with the question posed. Now, I like to spice the font up a little bit. If you're looking within your question text, you can see that the only font that we can choose from is Arial. We're going to add a new option within our text folder. We're going to add a new style of text. So go into the text folder that we created in the setup video and open up a web browser, and we're going to go to Google Fonts. So just search for Google Fonts, and here are all different types of styles that you can choose from. I already have one set in mind, so I'm going to search for Chelsea. Market. Go ahead and click the font you want. You can choose a different font, and we're going to download it by selecting it and then selecting download. So it's off the screen right now, but the font downloaded, and I can show you that I have this folder labeled Chelsea Market that I'm going to go ahead and open up. And what I can do is take this text, the .ttf, and drag it into my text folder within Unity. Now when I go back to the question text, I can go to font. Using the selector, I can now choose Chelsea Market, which in turn changes the font. Another way you can do that is by clicking the font and dragging it into the font box. Now let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. I'll go ahead and set this to 75. And you can see the difference between our scene view and our game view. Let's go ahead and zoom back into where we have our different sprites. And you can do that simply by double clicking either player or platform. And you can see here is our scene and here is the screen space canvas. And when we put them together, our screen space overlays our game. Go ahead and save that. And that's where we'll stop this video. In this video, we covered setting up the screen space canvas, adding the question text, and importing a unique text to use within our game. In the next video, we'll go over generating those questions using random numbers. Remember to like this video if you found it helpful, and feel free to subscribe to my channel.